What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Tabletop for Two podcast. I'm Brad Van Vutt.
I'm Emily Van Vutt.
So we're going to be previewing, I guess, our picks for Gen Con. Mm-hmm. We each have brought 10 games to the table.
Though I had 17 on my list originally.
Well, you had to call them down. We're not going to talk about 30 games on this episode.
How many did you have total, though?
Oh, that I had, earmarked?
Uh-huh.
A lot, 40, probably.
Good God, man.
A lot of them were already for sale, though, so I didn't really count those.
See, but that's why
that.
I only did things that weren't already for sale.
I also stayed away from that, or at least tried to when I did the final list, when I cut it down. So
Gotcha.
That's our main topic. We have a couple new games to talk about this week. Of course, before we do all that, some minor housekeeping as usual. Make sure you follow us on social media. If you have Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, you look for @TabletopFor2. You will find us there. Subscribe to the show on iTunes and Google Play Music or any other podcatcher that you choose. We have a BGG Guild, number 2623, where usually if we have news and stuff like that, we'll post updates for you guys there. And as usual, if there's any topic you guys would like us to cover about two-player gaming on the show, drop us a line and we will certainly consider it. Yep. I've been very much looking forward to the latest Vital Lacerda game, which is called Lisboa. I know you have.
I know.
Well, we talked about last episode. That was one of our most anticipated.
You were so excited. He put our mail on hold because we were leaving for, the beach for a few days. And he's like, oh, it's in. I'm going to run and get it before we leave.
Yeah. They had a UPS that morning before we left. And I was like, well, I might as well run to the UPS place. It's only 10 minutes away. But this is, of course, Lisboa, the new game from Vital Lacerda and Eagle Gryphon Games. It is so the backstory behind this game is actually sort of interesting because I did not realize that in Lisbon, or in Portugal, there was actually a massive earthquake followed by a tsunami, followed by 3 days of fires that almost destroyed the city. And this backdrop was used to make this game where you are different, influential folks in Lisbon after these catastrophes that are trying to use your influence with different nobles to help do your part in rebuilding the city, to gain social stature, because the victory points in this game are wigs, and apparently wigs were the social measuring stick of the time. The more wigs you had,
that's how they rolled back then. Their hair was probably really crappy,
and the gameplay is
it's probably all horsehair too,
probably. So the gameplay for Lisboa is actually fairly simple because every turn you have, you're going to have a hand of 5 cards. And
you're going to play a card and pick an action.
Right, you're going to play a card, pick an action. Basically, you have a player tableau, and you have the choice to play a card into the tableau, which if you do, either gives you a bonus while the card resides in there, or it gives you a certain number of influence that whenever you collect influence, you gain that. And when you do that action, you can either trade for favors with one of these nobles, or you can, what was the first one? Oh, you can sell your goods. That's right. You can sell goods to ships, which gets you money, but could possibly get other players victory points if you sell to their ships. Or, you can take your card and put it in the king's court and try to appeal to the favor of one of the 3 nobles. There's the builder, the marquis, and the king himself. And doing that unlocks a whole new slew of actions that you have access to that you can do. Or they have treasury cards as well, which are special events that you can play into the court. And basically it's a shortcut to one of these actions, because when you curry favor with these nobles, you have to pay an influence. And it's a varying amount of influence depending on how many other people are visiting in that noble's court, basically, which is very interesting. The different actions include the producing of goods, which then devalues those goods as the game goes along, which is a nice, interesting mechanic to make sure that one good does not reign supreme in popularity. It involves building stores in the main square in Lisboa, which is how you produce goods and also a key way to earn victory points. Building public centers, which usually requires getting some sort of building plan. And as you go along, you can also get these cards called decrees, which are different ways that you can score victory points at the end of the game. So it is a very, very familiar feel. If you've played any of Vital Lacerda's other games, this one likened probably the most to the Gallers for me. especially with the influence track and how that works.
Just laughing because we talked about that this was the hardest one for us to kind of like wrap our head around, just because it's simple. It's play a card, pick an action, but there's so much going on. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know where to start. And I believe we got called out on Twitter by Vital himself. Did we not?
He did. Well, he claims, and he had other folks backing him up too, that this is actually one of his lightest designs, which I could, like, as we got through the game, it became a little bit easier to understand what was going on. I know at first, like, you were really, like, trying to figure out just what you were doing.
Right. Was tricky. Because you know how I am. I'm a planner. I like to know what's going on. But when you're first going into something like this, you have no clue what you're doing.
Right.
So it was hard for me to, I'm, like, trying to remember all the things, even with there is literally a book to help you with this.
I would call it a pamphlet. The player aid is a pamphlet. I mean, in fairness, that could have been like a double-sided piece of paper. I think it's more aesthetically pleasing in the form that it's in.
Anyway, like I said, it just took me a little while. It took a little while longer for this one to click for me than usual. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I really enjoyed it, though.
Oh, it was a lot of fun, for sure. I would be hesitant to rank it amongst his games after just one play. We'd have to revisit it a couple more times.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to going back now that I know what I'm doing.
Right. Well, and like I said, the influence mechanic, because you, like I said, you can gain and spend influence throughout the game, and you can also spend your influence for money if you find yourself needing a couple dollars.
Money's tight in this one, too.
Well, it's not meant to be something that you have. Well, I mean, later in the game, it become quite easier as goods. The problem is goods are tight early in the game, which are your main source of income.
Everything's expensive early in the game, too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that's just another game where, like Em said, the other tricky part is when the game first starts, building buildings are very expensive, and the main way to get money is to sell goods, and they're harder to come by.
Oh, I can build a building, and then I was like,
yeah, it's one
$6 short. And
it's actually one of those things where the further the game gets along, the easier it is to do a lot of the different moves, and then the game ends basically.
Yeah,
so like
as soon as it gets easier, like, oh nope, we're done.
So yeah, it's very interesting. Like I said, I like the influence mechanic, which again is very similar to the influence mechanic that's in the Gallerist, and obviously inspired by that. So yeah, Lisboa, very, very good. As usual with these Eagle Griffin games they've been coming out with lately, the production value is also out of control. And everything's really nice. So yeah,
the player mats were phenomenal.
Yeah, the player mats are similar to the ones like inside that are like the double layered boards, so that your wood pieces have slots that they go into. They don't slide around. Which, man, I wish Terraforming Mars had been able to do something like that. That's the one game that would benefit the most from it for sure.
But yeah, but we have the thing.
I know we have the insert that does it. But yeah,
the Meeple Realty one.
Yep.
Yeah. And
like I said, a 2-player game of Lisboa should only take you about 90 minutes once you get it down pat. So yeah, Lisboa, very good. Thumbs up from us. We expected to like it. I'm not at all surprised.
Next on the list is one that Brad was not sure that I would like, and that is Churchill.
Mm-hmm. This is from GMT. This game has a very interesting premise, because the setting of the game is you are one of the 3 Allied leaders, either Winston Churchill, Franklin Roosevelt, or Joseph Stalin, during World War II. And collectively fighting against both the Germans and the Japanese, the Axis powers. And it's an interesting game because it takes place over the 10 conferences that they had during this period of time, towards the middle end of the war. And we only played the training game, which is 3 conferences long. And the game's split into 2 parts. The game is split into a debate of the different issues of that round, essentially, and then the actioning of what was decided in those debates. And to debate, you each have a number of staff cards that are played, and essentially you are taking one of the issues that's available and putting it up for debate. And in order to debate it, you play one of your staff cards, which has a numerical value of some kind. The way the board is laid out, it's like a table that has a track leading to each leader, and you're trying to move. Kind of
reminded me of Sorry.
Oh, I mean, the track looks similar. You're trying to move the issue to your side of the table and ultimately to your leader's chair if possible, and at the end of this discussion round, whoever has these issues on their side of the table will win them and therefore kind of be responsible for executing them. Now, that part of the game was really fun. Where it lost us a little bit was the actual resolution part of the game, where you have to assign.
That's where I tapped out.
Yeah, assign military units to these front tracks that are represent the army's positions in Germany and Japan.
It made no sense to me.
it was a lot to wrap your head around. And we only made it through
one round, and I told him, I said, honey, I'm not having fun. I said, I know you want me. I said, you know how I usually am. I'm like, okay, I'll suffer through it. We'll see if it gets better. I'm to the point now where I'm just like, nope, don't like this. I'm done.
I get it. There was just a lot of, it felt like a lot of, like,
well, I'm glad we got it played, you know.
Well, if anything, just to get it off the shelf.
Space.
But no, but it did feel like a lot of like bookkeeping during the resolution round. Whereas as much as the debate part of the game flowed, the resolution part was definitely very clunky, and it would be difficult to imagine doing that. Could you imagine playing like the full campaign, going over all 10 rounds as you go through and doing that? That would be something else, I think.
10 rounds of Twilight Struggle's enough.
Yeah, but Twilight Struggle, we have a lot of fun during those 10 rounds because of all the tension.
Yeah, but that's still a lot going on there. I'd rather play 10 rounds of that than 10 rounds of that.
Well, I think what we've discovered with GMT stuff so far when it comes to these like war games is that we tend to enjoy like the card-driven ones and haven't really clicked as much with the ones that don't kind of have that mechanic. Because Cuba Libre also
I haven't clicked. You probably do. I don't.
I don't know. Like, when we played Cuba Libre, that was a bit of a struggle for us as well.
But I felt like you were having way more fun than I was when we played that.
Well, I like watching, like, the gears turn, basically, is what I like enjoying. Now, the other thing that kind of made things a little off-kilter with this one is that when you're playing Churchill, you have to use 3 players. So when you're playing with 2 players, there's a bot player. And I will say the bot instructions in Churchill, very well laid out and very simple, but I'm sure that you weren't enjoying me having to constantly go back and like check reference this sheet of like what would the bot do, because this situation is happening right now.
It was not helping matters at all.
Yeah, so like I said, little disjointed. Churchill probably would be a better game with 3 players if you had 3 like human people controlling it. I've heard it's a great solo as well.
3 human people?
Yeah, you know what I mean. I've heard it's really good solo as well.
It's been a long week, guys.
As it turns out, 2 players, and BGG, the community, even says that that's the weakest play count for this game, so maybe that's just honestly true.
There you go.
So yeah, Churchill, not a fan for us.
Not good with 2. Well, at least from our account. Next is actually, this one's a specific 2-player game, is it not?
Yeah, this was a Bruno Cathala game that came out a couple years ago called Haru Ichiban. Bit of an abstract game where you are trying to create patterns of flowers on these frog lilies that you can manipulate and move around over the course of the game round. Whatever. It's all the same. They know what I meant.
It's a lily pad, honey.
The way the mechanics work in this game is interesting because every turn each player has at the beginning of each game, each player has flowers in their color that are labeled with 1 through 8, and you have 3 in your hand that are hidden from the other player. And each turn you're going to bid one, and depending on whether you're the high bid or the low bid, specifically determines where you're able to place your flower.
Yeah, low bid has to go on the dark green lily.
Yeah, there's always one of the lilies that is dark green, which is each round. But then the lower player gets to actually shift the lilies around the board so they can kind of position them. Mm-hmm. But then the dark player or the higher player can determine which lily gets flipped over to the dark side before the next round. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of set yourself up for manipulating it the way you want to. And you're like I said, you're trying to form specific patterns that get you points, and whoever gets to 5 points first is going to win. M completely killed me in this game. Like, I was terrible. I
am a Haru Ichiban savant, apparently.
Apparently, either that or I'm the worst Haru Ichiban player ever.
Look, I don't understand because
normally games like this are ones that
you kick my ass. So I don't know where the disconnect is for you, or maybe it's just my years and years of Tetris playing that's just like, oh, I can do this.
I think this is more your like Othello playing, because you were the one that always liked Othello a lot.
That too.
When you were growing up, not me so much. Yeah, this for some reason this one just did not make sense with me. It clicked for right away. I enjoyed the game; it was fun. I'm curious. I want to get back into it and do better than I did the first time.
Yeah, because we played 2 games and. The first game, he fought a little bit. The second game, he didn't even have a chance. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, I asked him, I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, are you high or drunk or something?
Yeah, just like I said, I just couldn't make it make sense in my head for whatever reason.
I don't understand. Like, that was so simple. Maybe it was too simple for you.
I don't want to say that. Maybe I think you're just good at the game, and I'm just not good at the game for whatever reason. But like I said, it's sticking around.
I can be nice when I want to be. See,
yeah,
I'm trying.
It's sticking around in our collection. Haru Ichiban. If you're looking for a nice, cheap, little abstract game for 2 players,
loved it.
It's worth a look. It's worth a look. Finally, one thing that we've been wanting to talk about for a while, but it's taken us a while to kind of work through the whole set, is the Legendary Encounters Alien expansion that came out. Mm-hmm. And this is actually a really robust expansion for Legendary Encounters. Of course, we've talked about Legendary Encounters on the show a ton. It is one of our favorite games.
Absolutely.
Like I think number 2 or something.
One of our favorite co-op games.
Our top 20. Well, I think it is our favorite co-op game without any doubt there. But yeah, it's and this expansion adds quite a bit. So let's go through the detailed list of what it adds. So first of all, it adds soldiers, which are a new type of drone. Like the drones are like the filler cards that go into the decks to pad the game out a little bit. Well, soldiers are cards that can go into the objective decks to actually increase the difficulty of the game because these are harder enemies.
It also put hard mode for the first movies.
Well, yeah. So it has a hard. So they have objectives and location cards for all of the locations that are in the first game, but they're like hard difficulty, like Em said, where if you found certain scenarios to be not so challenging in the first game, then you could definitely ramp it up with this one.
Oh man,
and it certainly did. Yeah,
because we tried one of the ones that we always won every time, and we got our butts whooped.
Yeah, it was aliens, so that's cool. Yeah. They have 2 new scenarios that are completely unique to the game that have different aliens. Like they have flying aliens in one and some other stuff, and with regular and hard modes for those as well. So those were interesting too. We dug those quite a bit.
What we really wanted to dig into was the Alien Queen.
Oh, well, we're not even there yet. There's more stuff that they had. It added, I think, 5 new characters. It added a new character for each of the 4 movies, and it also added a Ripley character deck that can work in all 4 decks, essentially, one that can go anywhere you want to. It added new strikes to the game mode.
Oh, they're nasty too.
Some of them can be real nasty. They added new sets of avatar cards so that you can have many more unique starting options. But like Em said, the thing that we had been procrastinating on was the new competitive mode that they have in the game, where one player can actually play as the Alien Queen, who gets their own unique deck of character cards, their own unique regular deck of cards, and there's also an Alien Queen enemy that the players have to defeat as well in order to beat the game that kind of just goes on the bottom of the deck. Now, I was most curious about this mode just because this is what changes the game significantly from the first game. And while we enjoyed everything else that was in this box immensely, this is the one thing that fell a little bit short.
Well, I think at a higher player count, it would work better. But because it was just the 2 of us, it just didn't work. Because basically, it just handicapped you, I feel like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Well,
because the way the Alien Queen works is she has her own action cards, and her actions can be where she can just attack the other player if she has a certain number of attack points that she can deal, or she can force cards out of the hive deck to increase the flow of cards, or she can just knock cards out of the hero character's hands, basically. And like I said, the game can be tricky enough as it is. And when you have this opposing force that's just sitting there picking at you, it can be really difficult with 2 players. Now, like she said too, you have more players to spread it out so that the humans get to do more before the aliens player turn comes around, and then the alien player also has to make choices as far as which player to attack, because you can only really attack one player at a time. I think that would balance things out a little bit more.
But yeah, so maybe one day when one of our gamer friends comes over, we'll have to try it with at least 3.
Or we could always play it where one of us who's playing the regular characters plays it 2-handed. Possibly that's also a possibility as well if you wanted to see what that plays like with 3 players.
Just coming from the man who hates playing 7 Wonders, just the 2 of us. No, I don't think that's going to work.
Well, that's different. That's a whole different mechanic. Playing 2-handed for this game is a way different experience than playing 7 Wonders, which is which is a variant. So, but yeah, so the Encounters box, mostly good. I would pass on the Alien Queen expansion, but it's still, I think, very much worth it for the characters, the new objectives, the new scenarios, and all the extra cards that come with it, for sure.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely, if you're a fan of Legendary Encounters, give that one a look for sure. So as we are recording this, Gen Con 2017, I believe, is this weekend coming up. And as we did last year, we wanted to kind of go through some of the new games that are going to be shown off at the show and give our picks on the stuff that we're most interested in as far as two-player stuff goes. So maybe
you wrote your list in here. You want me to put my list in here?
No, you don't have to put your list there. I just had mine there to have that there.
Let's see how many are on here.
Be ready to go. So yeah, the way we did this is we each just picked 10 games separate from one another. And we will see. Oh, there's only 2 crossovers. Interesting. So I was assuming there would be more. So I'm now interested to see what you have brought to the table here.
I see 2. I see a couple in here that I totally forgot about. But I think you'll like some of the ones that I have.
Now, was your list? Is your list exclusively comprised of stuff that is only available for demo?
Yes.
At the con. Okay, so some of my list is stuff that's actually going on sale at the convention.
And actually, one of these I looked at and I gave a real hard look at because I kind of like the theme of it.
I think I know which one already that you're talking about. We'll get to that. Okay. Real quick, there's 2 games I did want to mention that we're not going to talk about, probably because we talked about them on our last episode where we talked about the most anticipated games for 2017, which is Arkham Horror, the Path to Carcosa expansion for Arkham Horror, the card game, which is going on sale at Gen Con, and then Fate of the Elder Gods, which is also going to be for sale at Gen Con, but we got our copy in the mail recently. So
yeah, it is sitting downstairs on our table.
Yes, we've not played it yet. We will probably have some to report back on that next episode.
I hope so.
Those are 2 that will not be on our list. So ladies first, you can give me one game off of your list and we'll go from there.
Okay, I'll give you the one game that I have to have.
Okay.
It's Pandemic Season 2.
Okay. Yeah, and that's...
Because I really, really enjoyed playing that with you last time, so I really, really am looking forward to it.
That is on my list as well, and we don't need to go over it too much because that's, again, one of the ones that we talked about last week. But yeah, very much looking...
I just think it's cool because they're in these, what was the... I don't remember what the damn thing was, the... like Aqua something or other. It was the floating city kind of thing. Because, that's what you're living on these and you're like, oh, let's see what's out there.
Right. Listen,
this ought to be fun.
The story looks interesting, and I'm interested to see the tweaks they make to the gameplay. But yeah, that's on my list as well. So we will not cover that. Another one that is probably on your list, and we might have briefly mentioned it last week, Codenames Duet. That's on mine?
No, it's not on my list.
Okay. Well, Codenames Duet, this is the new Codenames, which is going to be for sale at the convention. And this is the one that's specifically 2-player, and it's interesting because I don't know if you know a lot about it, but apparently the key card that comes with it is actually double-sided.
Oh, so we can each see it?
You'll each see one side of it, and some of the guesses that you need overlap between the 2 cards, but some of them don't.
No.
So you have to. It's very.
Oh, that ought to be fun.
And apparently, I think there's multiple assassins as well. That only each player can see one of them that they both see, and then each player also has one assassin that only they see.
No, I saw the Disney one on there, which
pass.
I could play with probably 2 other people of ours.
Yeah,
but you probably would get blown out of the water for that.
Most likely, but like I said, the Duet one, I could see you and I playing that quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely.
As time goes along.
Hey, 2-player games, that's our bread and butter, baby. Yep. So, I don't know if you even gave this a look, but 13 Clues?
No,
it's a second edition of the game, I believe. They're reprinting it.
Okay, well, tell me about it, because I haven't heard of it.
So, it's a deduction game, but the way it sounds, it's like... It's like what we wanted Sleuth to be. Mm-hmm. So it's like a very basic version of Clue to me.
And it plays with 2?
Yeah, it says 2 to 6.
Interesting.
And it plays in 30 minutes.
Bears look. That's
so basically what it says you have the details of everybody. Like you're all trying to solve a crime. you have the details of everybody else's, but you don't have the details of yours. So you're trying to find yours before everybody else finds theirs.
Okay. I like a good deduction game.
Like I said, it seemed interesting. I was curious because it's a deduction for two of us, and I'm like, how would that work? But I mean, if nothing else, it goes up to 6 because it would probably be fun with our friends.
It's probably, I mean, if it's a 30-minute game, I'm assuming it's a card game. Probably pretty cheap too.
Yeah,
so
it's $30.
Okay.
Cool Mini did it.
That's worth taking a flyer on for sure. They've been doing a lot of they've been doing a lot of or not games.
See, look, I took lots of notes.
That's good. Like I said, well, you're educating me because I didn't see that. I'm going to throw the new game from Bezier Games at you, and a lot of people are looking forward to this. This is Whistle Stop from them.
I didn't even see this one.
It looks like a very
The only Whistle Stop I know is the Whistle Stop Cafe.
Well, it looks like a very simple. Kind of like tile laying, kind of like route building game.
Oh,
sorts.
Right up my alley.
Yeah, it looks very cool. This one's getting a lot of buzz. I believe this one goes up for sale at the con. So
that's why I didn't see it.
Yeah, so one that will be it's much anticipated.
Like I said, I literally took my list and I filtered it by demos only.
Okay.
Because you told me to.
There you go. Well, then I will definitely have a couple that are not going to be on your list then. So yeah, Whistle Stop is one for me. It looks very cool.
Okay. Next one I have is called Ancestry.
Okay.
Eric Lang did it.
Okay.
So I thought that might sell you on it. But it's a family tree building game. It's tile laying, and you're drafting the tiles and you're trying to fill your family tree. You're either there, and they have there's pictures of people on there, and then there's little leaves, and then there's little pieces of hearts. So you're either going to marry people or you're going to add them to your family tree and extend your family tree. And you get points, there's, what does this say? Hold on. There are, there's 3 rounds. You score points at the end of each round after 5 ancestors have been laid out. And then you score points based on marriages. Some of them have little coin bonus thingies.
I'm laughing because this sounds a lot like a lighter version of a game that you did not care for.
See, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. But this one interests me more than that one because that just, whatever reason...
We're referring to Legacy, the Legacy of Duke DeCreci.
Right.
Which Emily did not like.
It did not jive with me. Honey, no, that one just wasn't good. This is tile laying.
Well,
I love tile laying.
I'm going to throw another tile laying game at you.
Guess what? It's only $30.
Well, there you go. I like how we're making these decisions based on what we're going to play based on price alone, apparently, right now. So that's fine.
Well, no, I'm trying to get you to buy this because you think I'm going to hate it because of the one I didn't like. But I really won't. I promise. I
have another tile laying game. Now, there's not a lot of information on BGG about this. I am interested on it because of the designer and the artist alone, and that is Riverboat, which is a new game from, I believe, was it Michael Kiesling is the designer?
You have a computer and a tablet at your disposal. Why can't you look this up?
Well, because I'm trying to talk. That's why. So
you can't multitask.
No, it's hard to fill. It's hard. Well, then you give another game while I look up, so I don't look like a fool when I'm talking about Riverboat.
Ladder 29.
Well, that's not even fair because we had that back by Kickstarter.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, that was a Kickstarter game. We're going to be getting it at some point.
Well, you have it on your list too. So how is it not fair?
You're right. Ladder 29 is a firefighter-themed trick-taking game. That is a theme that is near and dear to both mine and Emily's hearts. We both have fathers who were in the fire department.
Yep. And
we both love trick-taking games as well. Absolutely. So that is a no-brainer. We have discussed that on this game previously, but that will be up for demo at the con. So Riverboat. It is Michael Kiesling. I was right. And it definitely has the Clemens Franz art, which we like very much.
That box looks like Walnut Grove there.
Well, that's because it's the same artist.
Okay,
so
there you go.
You know your stuff. There's only a couple images on BGG about this, and there's only one image of the game itself. Like I said, it looks like there's some tile laying. It looks interesting enough.
Okay.
I like Michael Kiesling, and of course I like art from Clemens Franz. There's not much to be known, but I'm looking at this on reputation alone, and it'll be up for demo at Gen Con.
Okay. Let me see what's left on my list. Let's okay. I don't even know if you even looked at this. Neon Knights 2086.
I did not, actually.
It's a racing game.
Yeah?
Yes.
What type of racing? Because we have 2 racing games that we like a lot.
Well, I don't know. It just says it's a racing game, okay? So you have the upper crust people, and then you have the people in the slums. The people in the slums are trying to get to the world above, and they do that by spending their... well, you're not allowed to spend money in the slums. Money's been outlawed, so they spend poker chips. So you spend these poker chips, you build a car so that you can be entered into the extreme racing league that they have up there. If you win, you become a Neon Knight and you can go up to the upper crust, but then I think you get to be their chauffeurs. Oh.
But you don't know like the mechanics of the game, like what type of game it is? It didn't say?
Well, it says it's, you're I don't know. It says you can do campaigns, you can do one-off races, all kinds of stuff. I don't know. Okay.
Now you have to look up while I'm talking, yeah. So
you get to put weapons and shields and all kinds of crap on your car, too.
There you go. So it's like combat race, like Death Race, then.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Sorry, I had to go further down in my notes here.
I think this game is for sale at the con, and I think that this might be the game that is on your list as well, that you said you looked at. And
no, both of my games are gone.
Oh, okay. So this is Apocrypha, I think is how you pronounce it.
That's the one below. It's the one I was looking at.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah, Apocrypha adventure card game. So this is from Mike Sillinger, who's famous for doing the Pathfinder adventure card game. And this is apparently a similar system, but with like a horror theme, like a supernatural theme. This has been something that's been anticipated for a little while. I both like and dislike the Pathfinder adventure card game system. I know you don't have any experience with it. No. I got the app, the Pathfinder app, and it's a very unique system for sure. It has its ups and its pluses and minuses. I'm curious to see how the mechanics differ from Pathfinder, because I definitely like the theme a little bit better. Like Pathfinder's very generic fantasy roleplay theme. This, the horror theme is one I like a little bit more. So it bears more research. I remember I kind of gave it a once over because this was on Kickstarter a couple of years ago, and I looked at it. I was like, I don't know, and I wanted to wait to see what it looked like when it got out in the wild. So, but apparently it's going to be on sale at Gen Con. So I'm interested to see what the feedback looks like, and if people like it, then I would definitely consider checking it out.
Also, with the Neon Knights, apparently as you're going through, because you're going through the cities, so as you're going through the cities, different parts of the city, depending on where you are, have either boosts to help you use like your weapons and stuff, or it'll have like hazards, basically. Okay,
that's interesting. So
like I said, it looked interesting to me. I have Founders of Gloomhaven on here. I wasn't sure if you had backed this on Kickstarter. I know it was on Kickstarter.
It's over now. We did not back it. That's another one that I was...
Yes, but I think you can still pre-order it.
Right, if you want to. That's another one I was waiting to see. Why are you interested besides the obvious reason, which is because it's a tile-laying game?
Well, but no, I've really enjoyed playing Gloomhaven so far, and this, they said it's like hundreds of years. So basically, we're building Gloomhaven. So I just thought it would be interesting to see how it all shook out. You know what I mean?
I want to see more in the game. I honestly I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the Kickstarter campaign for it because I was more paying attention to Crusaders and Renegade on there. So this one kind of slipped through the cracks for me.
So I thought this one also has like solo mode that you could do too.
So the only reason that I don't even want to say I'm on the fence. The only reason that I was not rushing to back it is because of all the things that I really love in Gloomhaven. One of the things that doesn't really tick my box one way or the other is the world so far. And that might be because we're still pretty early in our campaign and we haven't gotten to dive into it. But so far the world hasn't done anything to really grab me. So I'm not rushing to grab a game that's themed in the same setting yet. I have to check out the game first. But certainly it's one that people have been talking about because it was on Kickstarter.
Well, like you said, since we've played Gloomhaven, I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I was looking at it and I was like, oh, city building, tile laying, all good things. I'm going to throw out another for sale game, and I mentioned it last week, so I'm not going to say too much about it here, but apparently Rhino Hero Super Battle is going on sale with Haba Games. Nice. At Gen Con. We talked about that last show. I really want more Rhino Hero. I love Rhino Hero. Bigger Rhino Hero. Reiner Hero.
Reiner Hero.
I think the last time we played it, we were a little lit when we played it last time. It was more fun that way.
Oh, because we had company over.
Because we were trying to put the top, and I see my fingers. I'm like, oh god, I'm going to drop this card. Yep.
I don't know what Reiner Hero would look like. It would be like a tower building game where the lowest score won, because it'd be Reiner KCSO.
Okay, so I have Dice Hospital. Did you see this one?
I did not see Dice Hospital.
Jeez,
I have a dice game on my list too, but you can talk about yours first.
So Dice Hospital, basically, actually, this one's going to be on Kickstarter next month.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a personal player board where you have patients that you have to treat, and the patients are dice. The pips on the dice tell you how sick the patient is. The lower the number, the sicker they are.
Mm-hmm.
You have a staff that you can use to treat these. There are special staff that you can get somehow or another. It was kind of vague still. But yeah, we love our dice chuckers. I kind of feel like this is the one that, like, what we wanted Healthy Heart Hospital to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it really wasn't.
Is it a little more streamlined? Like, what's the playtime say for this one?
45 to 90 minutes. But it's 1 to 4 people.
Okay. That was the only the thing with Healthy Heart that kept us from keeping it, I think, was that it just kind of dragged on too long.
Right.
So like games like this, I feel like they need to kind of move. It'd be interesting to check out though.
I mean,
I like games with dice manipulation.
I know. That's why I put it out there.
Speaking of another game with dice manipulation, this is a new game.
Like I said, we can find out more next month.
So this game is also a dice game, and it has 2 things that we like. Renegade Games is the publisher.
Yay.
Maker of Clank and Lanterns. And J. Alex Kevern is the designer. And J. Alex Kevern, Gold West, and also World's Fair 1893 or 1903, whatever year World's Fair takes place in.
It's taken place in lots of years, dear.
And this is a like set collection dice manipulation kind of futuristic themed game. I believe this will be going up for sale at Gen Con. It looked really cool. And like I said, because of the designer and publisher, I am bullish on how sentient will be. It looks very neat.
Okay, so I have one. It's called The Big Score. Mm-hmm. Did you see this?
I did not.
So you're a mob boss or a crime boss. One of many in the city, apparently. I forget, it was like Centennial Bank or whatever. Apparently they've gotten this massive influx of cash and jewels and artifacts and encrypted data things. And it's just like a really big, big haul if you can get it. So you basically have to team up with your fellow crime bosses to pull off some smaller heists in order to get into the bank. And then once you're in there, it's kind of, all for one, or everybody for themselves kind of a thing. So can you like lose the game before you get into the bank or something if you're not working together? No, you can't do that because they said it's split in 2 halves. The first half you're trying to get in there, and then once you get in there, that's when things can go haywire because it's a kind of a risk reward thing. It's a pressure luck with pulling off jobs and doing this and doing that. You can get caught by the cops, this, that, and the other.
Okay,
but yeah.
So the another game on my list, I've had my eye on this
30
one.
30 minutes to an hour.
Okay,
just
nice and quick.
So you know.
So one game that I've had on my list is a game. I don't see how that could work, but okay. New game from Portal Games that's coming out soonish. This is called Alien Artifacts. This is a 4X style game, but it is a card game, and it can be played in under an hour. So you have like very limited resources that you can use every turn, and of course you'll get like new ships, new technologies. It's just like I said, I'm always interested when folks do kind of a different take on 4X instead of just the typical like dudes on a map running across terrain and getting new abilities and stuff like that.
I had a 4X game on my list. I can't remember what it was though, but not on my final list.
But like I said, this looks pretty cool, and definitely looking forward to hearing some feedback from folks that play it over at Gen Con.
So the one and only 2-player game on my list is called Fog of Love.
Fog of Love.
Yes.
This already sounds highly skeptical.
So They, well, I know you're going to hate this because they dubbed it the romantic comedy card game.
You're not selling me.
No. So you each have a character. And these characters, you create them, they meet, they fall in love, and then you have to deal with the perils and pitfalls and ups and downs of a relationship.
Okay.
It just sounded interesting. I figured you'd say no. Anyway.
I mean, I'll look at it if you're interested.
I just, I would like if you would give it a look-see. You probably would be like, Jesus Christ, what is she trying to get me to play?
Trying to get me to play like Love Actually, the board game, apparently. So
no.
The last one that's on my list is a game that kind of popped up again. This is another one that there's not a lot of information, so I'm going to be keeping a keen eye to see what things look like at the con itself.
At this one.
This is Richard the Lionheart, which is a new game from Simon, and it is a Robin Hood themed game.
I know, that's why I was excited.
And I'm assuming there's going to be cool like Robin Hood themed miniatures. And apparently Richard the Lionheart eventually comes back or not and kind of takes control of the kingdom and sees what's up. So the premise seems interesting. No one really knows anything about it.
The sheriff, you can do this, you can do that. I saw that.
I like the theme. That's what caught my eye, and so yes, I will be keeping an eye on Richard the Lionheart.
Well, you're gonna laugh at me on my last one.
Okay.
Big Trouble in Little China, the game.
It's a
miniatures. It's got miniatures, honey.
I know, and I've been trying to keep this from you.
And this is the thing, because I have. It's probably just because I love the movie so much. I can't help myself. But it kind of reminded me, remember I was trying to get you to get me the Goonies game?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it is. It's like the Goonies game. Because you're traveling to locations, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. You're going to fight Lopan and his henchmen, and discover weapons and all that good fun stuff. They have thematic dice with it, honey.
I am highly, highly skeptical as far as whether this game is going to be good or not. I have seen it. I have seen it.
Okay, you saw that one.
I have seen it.
Well, here, do you want to know what my other ones that didn't make the cut were for this list?
Sure. And I guess I can probably give a couple of those as well while you're doing that.
Okay. So, Council of Four. I don't know if you saw that one.
Didn't.
That was a cool mini game. Gridstones, but I 86 Gridstones because it seems like with two players, it just wouldn't be good. It's an abstract. You're trying to make constellations on a board. Wouldn't be good with two people. Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea.
Okay.
Don't know if you saw that one. Planetoid. Shutterbug.
Well, it's limited to 5 because otherwise we'll be here for a while, I think.
No, I only have 2 more on my list.
Okay, well then go for it.
And then I had Victoriana and Island Hopper.
Okay. Couple on my list that looked interesting but did not make my final cut for those curious. Game called Aura, which is a kind of like a set or hand management game. The Cities of Splendor expansion, I don't know if we need it or not, but that's certainly something that's out there. Not Nemo's War, I'm sorry. The Matainai expansion. Again, not sure if it's something that we need, but I am interested to check it out. Let's see what else we have here. The Game of Thrones miniatures game, probably not going to get this. It looks interesting, but
I saw that and I knew you'd probably love it, but I don't see how we have time for it.
No, I would agree. And then Wasteland Express Delivery Service. I've heard a lot of good things about this game, I
saw a food truck game too, Truck Off, I think it was called. It looked fun.
Yeah, for whatever reason I haven't got a lot of info. So that is our list of what we are looking forward to coming to Gen Con this coming weekend. So if you have any games that can be played with 2 that you particularly are looking forward to, drop us a line. I'm curious to hear what other folks are interested in. But that is going to be our show this week. We have done 50 episodes, if you can believe that.
No way.
It's hard to believe for me too. So 50 is a good number.
And here I thought I was going to suck at this.
Nah, see, you're natural now.
I don't know about that. I think I'm much better talking to people rather than just talking to you.
Yeah. So,
know what I mean?
well, 50 is a cool milestone that a lot of podcasts out there don't get to hit. So it's very cool that we've gotten here. So
And
thank you guys for listening.
New likes on our page and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for those that are listening. If it's your first time, you've got a whole big backlog you can get to. And we hope you guys will continue to find us. Again, drop us a line, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Tabletopper2. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys very much for watching. Listening. That's right. I've been doing a lot of video podcasts lately. This is not one of them, though.
This is not one of them, because right now you would see me in my hair turban towel because I just got out of the shower.
And we will see you guys in a couple weeks for episode 51.
See ya.